Namaskar, welcome to Inside Tonight with Ashok Vyas. This Tuesday, as we speak, we are very close to an important day, which is a festival of India's democracy, and that is India's Republic Day. Not only India's Republic Day is coming, we are also in the middle of very different kind of canvassing for the upcoming elections in UP as well as in Punjab and Uttarakhand. How religious sentiments come to the surface right near elections, even a bit more, is what we have observed again and again. Is it avoidable? Is the secular nature of India, as is claimed and is preached to each other, is an integral part of the election pattern? We will learn about the significance, the role it plays in India's politics, and how it is likely to surface in the upcoming election results in UP, especially UP, of course, in Punjab and Uttarakhand also. But let me have the pleasure of welcoming someone who is sitting right here in the ITV Gold's studio at Addison with me, community leader and active on many fronts, known for his candid remarks. Peter Kothari ji, namaste, welcome.
Namaste, Ashok Vyas, long time.
And I also have the pleasure of welcoming via Zoom good friends Vibhuti Jha ji, wonderful anchor for a show here. Frankly speaking, Vibhuti Jha, very active with Jaipur Dialogue and a frequent columnist. I also have the honor of welcoming Vice President of World Hindu Council, Sanjay Kaul ji. Namaste. I would like to begin with you, Vibhuti ji. In nutshell, when we say politics and religion should be separate, is that practical in the context of India?
It is impractical in every sense of the term in every part of the world. The famous saying goes that cataract is the cause of the greatest cause, number one cause of blindness, human blindness. Politics and religion are the close second and close third. They vie with each other. It makes people mad. It makes people very vicious because people hold on to their political and religious beliefs together. So it is not possible to separate them because as human beings, we are all an integral part of our own living life. But in the Indian context, particularly we are talking about it, secularism has achieved a very dubious distinction in India. It is secularism of Sanatan Dharma, which is secular by itself.
Yeah. So, sorry, Vibhuti Jha ji, I'll come back to you.
No. Let me finish that.
Okay, because this is where I wanted to lead the conversation further, so I thought you would take
The point is very simple. The point is very simple. That in the Indian context, Sanatan Dharma is the secular philosophy, secular belief. For us to be called secular is a modern jingoistic play. It's like telling Vibhuti, Peter, Sanjay, and Ashok Vyas, prove that you are men. What do we have to do then? Do we have to prove? That's what the point is. So when you are trying to ask somebody to prove its very existence, that becomes a threat.
So, very well, good point. And as we come towards the current scenario, Peter ji, in 1971, probably Indira Gandhi brought this word secularism in the Indian Constitution. It was not there earlier. What do you think made her feel that this is an important way to give some message or to make a statement? And also, let me recollect with you, India as we see it in the geographical way in 1947 was divided on the basis of religion. So, keeping that in mind and the need of having a secularism word in the constitution.
Ashok Vyas, I have a different thinking. I am not that well like a learned person about history and what was said years back or what way. But those mature democracy in the world, have secular democracy, and their leaders are trying to propagate secular way of life for all the people who lives there in that democracy. And maybe we are unable to accept the secular way of life and fabrics in a democracy, but secular intention was done by those leaders who really sacrificed for everything.
Okay, let's
And,
stop. Let's stop here. You are
I
talking very
understand,
general.
Ashok Vyas, it's a time restraining, but when point has to be made, point has to be made.
Right, right.
People have a different ideology. People have a
No.
means we are not debating.
We are here to look
Yeah.
at the differences. But what you are saying is quite general, and you're talking about mature world democracies. So then we'll have to go to which
I am
democracy?
not talking general. I am talking coming to the particular. India, if wants to be a world largest democracy, all the political party must recognize the secular way of life or secular way of democracy for India. If they want to be a decision making part of a decision making body in the world, if those
So what you are saying-
conservative idea is passed, maybe working right now under the last 8 years or maybe in Gujarat for last 25 years. But that is not the way whole India
Okay,
wants.
so I got your point, and I'll have Sanjay ji weigh in on what you said, and you have alluded to something which might trigger different sentiments in different people. But just listen to what you just said is the prerequisite of having your substantial say in the world affairs as per you is to have secular credentials or secular spirit in the nation, which means you are excluding all the Islamic nations. So there is no secularism and there are majority of Islamic. But we'll not go there. We're going to India with Sanjay. Sanjay ji, secularism, India, and of course politics. And you heard Vibhuti Ji mentioning that Sanatan tradition needs no additional level of being secular. And you also heard Peter Ji. Your thoughts on this space?
Let me begin by saying that the freedom of religion in India is a fundamental right which is guaranteed by the India's constitution. And when we started as a nation in 1947, religion really did not have any role to play in the politics of the country. But over the years, as time passed, the leaders from Congress started to actually exploit the religious sentiments of the people of the country so that they could actually develop a vote bank for themselves. In a way, though the constitution guarantees the nation is a secular nation, but to their own advantage, the parties have used religion in their own favor. You could start with the time of Indira Gandhi, when she knew that the Hindus in the country are actually voting based on who they like, whether it is caste or it is the party they like or an individual. But the Muslims, which are the second majority community in India, they vote en bloc, and you would see the tradition of having the festivals being celebrated in the public life, like iftiyars and other things, and you would have the imams make a decree on something and give them the prominence in public decision making. So it was cultivated so that you could build a vote bank for yourself, and that is what we are seeing right now.
So now, Vibhuti ji, we go to the current scenario. As you must have observed some of the survey which are coming up, and the questions that are asked and the way people are responding, and you have in UP most of the Muslims supporting Samajwadi Party, and you have also seen the addition of some of the Muslim leaders to Samajwadi Party, as well as the way Akhilesh Yadav during his chief ministership worked with both communities. So keeping this survey also in mind, where probably 76% of the UP Muslims are likely to be in favor of Samajwadi Party, few for Congress, and 4% something for BJP. What do you think determines the inclination of voters, and does religion play, or the perception that XYZ leader is going to act in certain fashion in the context of my faith makes a lot of difference for voters?
So, Ashokji, what you said just now, 76% of the Muslims will be voting Samajwadi Party.
Based on one survey, of course, yeah.
Yeah, makes a farce of secular world. You know, this is the problem with the word secularism, particularly when, you know, you have the freedom to do what you want and we don't have the freedom to do what I want. So it becomes Hindutva. So if 80% of the people vote Hindu, these Hindus are non-secular. They are rabid. But if the Muslims do that, it's okay. They are exercising their freedoms of a different kind. That's what the challenge in India is all about. And the opposition parties, non-BJP parties, have been cultivating that by giving concessions and concessions and concessions. Think about it like this, that Akhilesh Yadav has made the statement that hum satta mein aayenge to Ram Mandir ko nahi banne denge. Think about it. This is called, you know, sadly it is called secularism applies only to Hindus. It doesn't apply to anybody else. It is our, wo बैल का भाला मुझे ही संभालना है. That is what is rotten about this entire UP politics here. And this is sad part, that Muslims are playing to the vote bank. All other parties are doing that. This is the sad part of Indian election, where Muslims vote en bloc, Christians vote en bloc. If Hindus do that, then they are Hindutva people.
Yeah.
This is something that needs to be banished. And I'm happy to tell you one thing. आज तक हिंदू मूर्ख बनते रहे हैं, अब नहीं बनेंगे मूर्ख. क्योंकि आज thanks to technology, people have got to know the truth.
Okay, you're talking,
बहुत हो गया है. So that's what is sad. And I'm totally for telling people, Muslims, vote for the guy who is doing something for you, rather than trying to come in from back door and impose your will on the rest of the majority. That is not going to happen now, Ashokji. People have...
I got your point well taken, Vibhuti Ji, and I'll just rephrase in my words. What Vibhuti Ji says is that minorities, most of them are voting as bloc. Whereas if someone talks about majority in India voting en bloc, that takes away their secular credential. Now I'll come back to you, Peter Ji. I don't know whether this requires a fact check. Vibhuti Ji, did he actually say that if Akhilesh Yadav comes to power, he will not let Ram Mandir built? Have you done some fact check?
There are many statements attributed to everything. So you have also a scenario when Rahul Gandhi makes a statement, makes fun of Modi Ji for speaking, looking at the teleprompter. The idiot doesn't know, and I dare call him an idiot, because from 1991 onwards, I have seen Bill Clinton give teleprompter, say, dekh karke bhashan kar rahe hain. Every world leader does that. So when you call Modi maut ka saudagar or chowkidar chor hai, if that's okay, and that is a fear Hindus are having, that Akhilesh Yadav may just stop construction of this one. Whether he made that statement or not, I know he made a statement that he tried to divide. He puts up placards of Sapa for Brahmins, Sapa for Jains. He is playing divisive politics. And I know he said it because I read it myself. Several years ago, when he said that Krishna is more popular than Ram. Think about it. Whereas there is no such feeling amongst Hindus. हम एक ही मंदिर में जाते हैं, सबकी पूजा करते हैं, नहीं भी करते हैं, तो हमारे भगवान हमें मारने के लिए नहीं आते जिसकी पूजा नहीं की.
Okay, so I think that's a very significant point. But Peter Ji, I appreciate your patience. You heard, and I know some of the remarks coming from Vibhuti Ji were not in agreement with the way you look at it. But let me relate to what you earlier said, and you were actually putting a color on the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, who was Chief Minister of Gujarat, your state earlier. Why do you see that when they talk about Hindus, it takes away secularism, whereas others, as Vibhuti Ji mentioned, and I also brought some of the survey, is in sync with secularism?
See, first, I am from state of Gujarat. Second, I am a Hindu. And who decide for entire Hindu community in India? That's another debate. Vibhuti Ji or Sanjay Ji as an ideology, what they believe, but they should respect majority of the Indian people. What is their thinking? I agree and I understand. My parents
Magar
are very
Peter ji, why are you
strict.
trying to
No,
box
no,
us
Peter ji, listen.
that way? I mean, I feel very confronted by that because you just named us two people. They have their ideology, and we're not as if taking input from people. We're as much educated about India and the people of India as you are or anybody else is. And we are very educated,
Sanjay
forward-looking
Ji, I
people.
did not interfere you.
No, I'm
Nor
not
you
interfering.
listen
I'm
to
just
me.
saying you
Please
named
listen to me. You don't
You
have a
named
right
me.
to interfere. You have your point. You make your point, but
Yeah.
don't interfere
Peter,
when
Peter
I am
ji,
talking.
okay,
Please.
Peter ji,
But then you
Peter,
should not have named
Sanjay,
me.
Sanjay ji.
No, that's
let
not
me-
the way
Peter
you
ji,
do the debate.
Peter ji, see what happens is when you put their name.
I gave first that I am putting my opinion. Everybody has a right to have an opinion. I am Hindu and I am Gujarati. I know what I am talking. So it doesn't matter what is the ideology. We are friends after all. We are from same community. But everybody has a right to believe what they believe.
No, but let's go with facts now.
The facts, I am talking about facts. I am coming to facts.
Okay.
In between, he has no business in interfering me.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
did not say one word when Vibhuti Ji or he was talking.
Okay, let's move.
So that
Yeah.
norm we
Yeah,
have to
make
observe.
make your point. Make your point.
Yeah. I am coming to that I am from Gujarat. From my childhood, I have been very active in city of Baroda, now it's known as Vadodara. I was a student leader. I have enjoyed every possible position during my growing up. I strongly believe those people who really did whatever they could under those circumstances, they tried their best. They sacrificed a lot and give us a precious democracy. And precious democracy, with that intention, those who wanted a separate country as known as Pakistan, they did not want to derail the independence movement and wait any longer. So Gandhiji, Sardar Patel, Jawaharlal, all those leaders agreed that let's give them whatever they want on the base of religion. What and how we will live in India will be the secular way, respecting those Muslims or those minorities lived in India. That is the principle, that is what I learned from a history, what I was growing up.
Okay, so Sanjay ji, because we are going slightly into history, I'll request you to share the status of Hindus who remained in Pakistan, compare that with the status of Muslims that remained in India, and the amount of rights, if you compare, which have been exercised by minorities in Pakistan as well as in India, and overall the spirit, if he feels that was at the root of formation of India, which is all encompassing. Are we going away from that?
Now looking back into history, when the whole of India got independence from the British, we got broken into two parts because Jinnah wanted Pakistan for Muslims and the Muslims wanted a separate country for themselves. And at that time, if you look back, Gandhiji made sure that we were amicable to this breaking of the country. He did before that, he did many times. He went on fast unto death, making sure that certain leaders and certain policies were adopted by Congress. But when Jinnah insisted on the need to break the country on the basis of religion, he never did unshan. Or when the riots happened for people millions of people who moved from one country, one part of India to the other, or from Pakistan part of India to Indian part of India, there was almost like millions of people died and were killed. Riots happened. But still he was bent upon insisting that we should pay 65 crore rupees to Pakistan to stabilize them and help them. And at that time, if you look, a sizable number of Hindus were in what is now the Pakistan, and a sizable number of Hindus were in what is now Bangladesh. And look at the demographic features of both these countries, Pakistan and Bangladesh. We have the Hindus have reduced in their percentage as a percentage of the total of that country from double digits to less single digits. In Pakistan, they are
less than 3% something.
less than 3%. In Bangladesh, they are less than 7%.
Sanjay, I'm afraid, looking at the paucity of time.
I just want to add one more comment. Just look at the Muslims in India. They partition time, Muslim wanted a separate country, but they chose to stay back in India. Look at their numbers. They have increased in numbers. They have increased in stature. We have had presidents, we have had the home ministers, we have had chief ministers wherever possible. In a Hindu majority state, we have had Muslim chief ministers.
We also have had Muslim education ministers as well as
correct, who have defined the education policy. But in a Muslim state like Kashmir, you have never had a Hindu chief minister. You look at that. The disparity. Wherever Muslim is, they will benefit. Though Muslim is a majority in Kashmir, they are still considered as minority, whereas I, being a Kashmiri Hindu, less than 2% of the population, I am considered as a majority in Kashmir. Yeah. So there are disparities. People have exploited the system. People have exploited the notion that is guaranteed by Indian constitution called secularism. And they have benefited, and that keeps on going.
Yeah, Sanjay, I just want to bring in Vibhuti Ji with two references and your exhaustive comment, of course, in limited amount of time that we have. One, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Ji, is carrying an image of being pro-Hindu. Let us accept it. And he has also been active in renaming some of the landmark places. For example, Allahabad became Prayagraj. And he said all that was done, we are going to bring back the original glory, and he has that idea with which he works, which is supported by, of course, many people. And again, I think people who feel that he is taking away some sort of a secular shine of India opposes him. How it is likely to play out in the upcoming election is my major question to you.
First of all, Ashokji, this is a very important point you raised. People, opponents of name change, are saying, what's in a name? Everything is in a name. Sanjay is Sanjay. He is not Sanjay, he is Sanjay. Pronounced very simple. And Peter Kothari is Peter Kothari. He is not Petre Kothari, right? There is everything in the name. Vibhuti is Vibhuti, Ashok is Ashok. The question is, Prayagraj, was Prayagraj before it became Allahabad? It is restoring the old name because it was changed by force and subjugation. Secularism can't be a tool to make Hindus feel guilty about themselves, you know. ये नाम क्यों बदले? जब बम्बई का नाम मुंबई बदला, चेन्नई, मद्रास चेन्नई हुआ, उस वक्त में किसी ने कोई नहीं कहा कि ये हिंदू की बात है. तो ये अगर योगी जी अगर नाम बदल रहे हैं तो उसमें कौन सा बड़ा पाप हो गया भाई? He is restoring the old name that was there. There are many places where the names have been changed, and Sanjay Kaul ji can give you a dozens of hundreds of names in Kashmir that names had
Exactly,
changed.
yeah.
So,
Right?
so yeah,
Why
Vibhuti-
did the Muslims change
yeah,
it?
Vibhuti,
That's the question to be asked.
Vibhuti, this is
And
taken.
I'll tell you one thing very clear. Ashokji, your pointed question will how will it affect
Yeah.
the election part of it? It is going to be positive. Because there is a गर्व से कहो हम हिंदू हैं. ये बात जो है, it is not neither Peter's monopoly, my monopoly or Sanjay ji's monopoly. It is a concern for all of us. अगर हमारे नाम को ध्वस्त किया गया था, तो आज वो नाम फिर पनप रहा है. सच्चाई सामने आनी चाहिए. ये अमेरिका में भी हो रहा है साहब. What is this woke culture in America all about? They are destroying the statues of Robert Lee and others and Confederacy people is because of the past. Can we say, are we saying that it is wrong here? No. So when India is doing that, why is it wrong, sir?
Good point, and how it plays out in the election we will see. But for now, based on the surveys, of course, this is one of the many factors, Peter Ji. There is certain factors that determines how voters are going to cast their votes. But looks like Yogi Ji is likely to get less number of seats under his leadership based on the surveys. But still he is likely to be the next UP CM was the survey giving us the result. But Peter Ji, how do you see again and again when Muslims speak about their rights that we consider fine, but when Hindus start asserting their self-esteem, it appears to be a questionable scene, especially in the political orbit. Your thoughts on this?
Well, Ashok Bhaiya, we all know, and as Vibhuti Ji and Sanjay Ji mentioned, India in ancient time was always connected with religious. Even the Mughal empires were there, or even Maratha Empire was there, or Rajput rulers were there. The religion was one factor, and the religious activities keeping people together to celebrate, enjoy the holidays, everything was on basis of religion. No one can deny that. Many people used to, maybe your forefather might be wearing dhotis and all kind of different costumes and things. We change, we adopt the new things when we realize, and how much benefit only time can tell, that continuing the old ancient systems and not walking with the rate of the world and technology and things. And I would like to make one point. It is a responsibility of majority to take care of minority.
Beautifully said, beautifully said.
And it's always true.
Right. So Peter Ji,
compare, I will take one more second,
Okay.
10 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see we are less than 2% here, then still, and I am the vocal fighter for selective enforcement or any prejudice or bias or all those, that is by all 30 years of work.
So I think a sense of awareness is increasing, and I personally feel that we'll reach to a common ground where we respect each other, and mutual respect is definitely important. And because you say that this is not my side, so if you worship in this form, I'm not going to tolerate it, then there is no place for a peaceful coexistence, and that needs to be addressed. If we keep on hiding and shying away from sharing our pain, that probably is not going to lead to a healthy democracy also. But such stimulating conversation, once again thanking my panelists and thanking all of you. Looking forward to a great result on 10th March, and happy Republic Day of India. This is Ashok Vyas.
Thank you.
you.
Namaste.
Thank you.